Good morning, this is Kasturi De. Today, again, I've come to discuss the health and hygiene chapter according to ICSE syllabus, class 8. Okay, so in my last video, I stopped with the prevention of diseases, and now I'll start with the natural defenses and immunity. Okay, this is also a method too, that is the natural mechanism to prevent the diseases. Okay, so we see that air, food, water, what we take or what is around us is full of pathogens, we know that. Okay, which can enter our body, and but all of them, all the time they are entering the body, we do not fall ill. Okay, all the time when we are eating or we are drinking or when we are breathing in, the pathogens are getting inside our body. Okay, but still we do not fall ill. What is the reason behind it? Because our body has several natural defenses. Okay, like the skin, like the white blood cells and the mucus, which ward off these infections. Okay, which protect us from the pathogens from causing any infection. Our body also has some special defense system. Okay, and that is known as immune system. Okay, now what is immune system? Here what happens, this immune system makes antibodies. What are antibodies? They are proteins in the blood plasma. Okay, when we studied the last chapter, I told you that the antibodies are the proteins in the blood plasma. When we studied the circulatory system, their antibodies and antigens were there, no, in the blood grouping system. So these antibodies are also proteins which are present in the plasma, which attack the foreign bodies that enter our body and prevent diseases. Okay, and so any microbe entering a person's body produces specific antibodies in the blood to fight it. So once the person recovers, the antibodies may remain in the blood, and this helps in preventing the diseases from occurring it again. Okay, and what do you say, that this thing that is the body which has adapted to this type of mechanism by the producing this specific antibodies against that organism, against any specific microbe, that is known as immunity. Okay, so immunity is the ability of the body to recognize and resist a specific infection or toxin by releasing antibodies against it. Okay, it's the ability of the body, okay, to recognize and resist a specific infection. By this ability, it recognizes the infection and resists it from it being infected, or any toxins, it can resist that toxin by releasing the antibodies against it. Okay, this protects a person's body from a particular disease, which may be short term or permanent. Okay, next is for example, once one suffers from chickenpox. Okay, then what happens? He or she will never contract it again, as his or her body has developed these antibodies against this chickenpox disease, that remains in the blood throughout the life. Okay, next we come to immunization. So I told you that the body has become immune. Now the immunization, the process by which the body becomes immune to a certain disease, is known as immunization. It can also be acquired artificially. One way is getting immunized is by getting that disease. If one suffers from the disease, then he will develop these antibodies inside his body, and this will protect him from further infection of this disease again in the life. Now another way is artificial in the form of vaccines. Now, so a vaccine, what is a vaccine? It is a small dose of weakened disease causing microorganism which is administered into a healthy person to provide immunity against a specific disease. Okay, so vaccine is nothing but that diseased microorganism in a very weakened dose or very small dose. Okay, so that the body develops these antibodies against that specific disease. Now administering this weakened or killed pathogen to stimulate the body, develops resistance against that pathogen, that is known as vaccination. So vaccination is administering this weakened or killed pathogen to stimulate the body to develop these antibodies inside the body, inside one's healthy person, that is against that pathogen, that is known as vaccination. And vaccinations for typhoid, polio and rabies contain dead germs of that particular disease. Okay, then vaccines for measles and tuberculosis contain living germs that has been made weak so that they cannot cause the disease but can induce the formation of antibodies against the disease. What happens? The first is for typhoid, polio, rabies, it is the dead germs. For measles and tuberculosis, for living germs, that is made weak. Okay. Then vaccines for smallpox consist of living, fully virulent cowpox virus, which are similar to the smallpox virus. Then vaccines for diphtheria and tetanus contain toxoids. Toxoids, what is toxoids? Toxoids are toxins which are secreted by the pathogen, which are made non-toxic, and they are injected into the body of a healthy person. Okay, these are toxoids of the bacteria that cause the diseases, that is given to that healthy person so that the healthy person develops these antibodies inside his body, and that could protect him from the future disease, Okay, then after vaccination a person's become immune. So immunization is the process by which a person is made resistant or immune against a particular disease by administering a vaccine. By giving a vaccine, a person gets immune or resistant to a particular disease, okay, by injecting a vaccine, by giving a vaccine. Then what are the basis of the principles of immunization? If a pathogen enters the body, the immune system will recognize it and respond against it. For each type of pathogen, the immune system produces cells that are specific for that particular pathogen. Okay, these cells attack the pathogen entering the body. In the future, if the same pathogen or its close relative enters the body, the immune system recognizes it and responds with greater vigor. Thereby, it stimulates the second or subsequent infection even more quickly than the first time. Okay, this cycle goes on, and each time the pathogen enters the body. So what happens once we inject a vaccine inside our body? When the pathogen enters by anyhow, whether it is by vaccine or by disease, if the person gets the disease, so the pathogen enters the body, the immune system recognizes it and then responded by producing an antibody against that pathogen. Okay, then what happens? The tissue cells then attack the pathogen entering the body. The antibody has been created now. Now in future, if the same pathogen or its close relative enters the body, what happens? This antibody, this immune system which has grown now inside the body of the healthy of that person, now recognizes that pathogen and responds it with great vigor. First time he may become sick, But the second time or the third time or the fourth time, if you get that if the same pathogen or its close relative enters the body, the person responds to it more quickly, okay, and react very fast and kill that pathogen, and the person remains healthy. Okay, so vaccination. Now vaccination is named after vacca. It's named, vaccination has come from the name vacca, which is a Latin name which means cow, and is so named as the first vaccine was derived from a virus affecting a cow. So the cowpox virus, as the cowpox virus for smallpox. Okay, and this was discovered, this virus vaccination has been discovered by Edward Jenner. Now, vaccines are given to children between the ages of 6 weeks and 10 years after common infection against the common infections like diphtheria, whooping cough, tetanus, polio, measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, meningitis, and so on. So, there are lots of vaccines which are given from a childhood, from the birth onwards. The child is getting vaccines accordingly, okay, according to the age when it will be given. You must have seen that we maintain a chart. The parents only maintain a chart, and the doctor sees every time the child goes for vaccination. The doctor looks on this chart and sees which vaccine is to be given or not. Okay, so I'll conclude here for today. I'll continue with the rest of the chapter in my next video. Before ending, I want to discuss you about the last video question. I asked you that the ringworm, which is a skin disease, which organism causes this disease? This is caused by a fungus. Okay, this is caused by a fungus. Ringworm is a fungal infection. Okay, so now today's question. Okay, today's question is that in case of in infection by HIV, okay, which causing AIDS, we know that HIV infection causes AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Now tell me which bodies, what system is affected by this HIV infection. Okay, please write that down in the comment box, please, and if you have any questions regarding this chapter, please do write in the comment box. Okay, and if you like the video, press the like button and share it with your friends, so that they can also be helped with this video. And if you are a new viewer to my channel or not subscribed yet, please do subscribe to get the notification of my next video. Thank you.